When Valve added skins to CSGO, they created a monster. Skins went from being worth $10 to $20 to $100 to thousands of dollars, all the way to the point where people literally had inventories worth millions. Valve weren't just controlling all your PC games anymore, they were controlling your money too. People's inventories were literally turning into a second bank account. And this created a bit of a problem because Steam support was never intended to manage inventories worth thousands and thousands of dollars. But because of the breakout success of CSGO, there weren't really any other options, and this meant problems became inevitable. This video is the story of these problems. This is the story about how something went horribly seriously wrong and how a small number of bad actors caused a huge amount of harm, how they brought each other down, and how they allegedly took down hundreds of their colleagues with them. It is a crazy tale, and I am very glad to finally tell it. Let's get into things. Now, this video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey. Check out SkinsMonkey to quickly and easily trade your CSGO skins. Use the code Zeus to get up to $5 extra on your first trade, as well as a bonus when depositing. Link is in the description. Check it out today. Valve is a black box. To the general public, the people inside it are a bit of a mystery, and to the outside observer, it might seem like there's basically only 5 guys running Steam support. 5 guys who must be drinking 1 million coffees a day based on the number of tickets that they handle. But Steam support agents aren't exactly who they seem they are. The cake is a lie, and so is Hal's entire identity. A lot of Steam support agents aren't in-house Valve employees. Much of the work is contracted out around the world, and it has to be. Steam has hundreds of millions of users speaking all kinds of different languages, and the only way for Valve to provide proper customer support is by having a huge outsourced workforce in all kinds of different countries. But it also means that some random guy or girl in some corner of the earth where they're probably not making much money has access to a lot of information about people's Steam accounts, and specifically, information that they could potentially use to do some really bad things. Eventually, something really bad ended up happening, and a lot of it was going on in plain sight. It's February 2022, and a bizarre event has just gone down, centered around an OG Chinese collector called QKSS. QKSS is a man of many talents. Talents like being born into an extremely rich family, spending a colossal sum of money on a huge inventory of Kato stickers and insane sticker crafts, and then getting that inventory VAC banned in 2018. Rumor has it that he lent the account to a streamer who cheated on it. I have no idea if that story is actually true, but if it is, I hope that streamer is comfortable at the bottom of the Yangtze River. And in any case, QKSS moved on from the loss, specifically by building up a second insane collection that contained no less than 17 Reason Hollows, which he then hid in a private inventory before basically quitting the game. By 2022, the account was worth literally millions, but the account also seemed to be completely abandoned. But then something kind of unexpected happened. The account got community banned.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Now, how does someone who hasn't been online in years get community banned? Well, hold on to that thought, because before anyone could get any answers at all about what happened, his account went from being community banned to being outright fucking deleted. But not before the skins had somehow found their way onto a bunch of additional accounts, which were also community banned. Now, naturally, people started asking what the fuck had just happened, and they were left asking that question because no one had any fucking idea. But things were about to get even more scary. Just 4 months later, in June 2022, something completely unexpected happened. Legendary Emirati collector HFB, who once owned the most expensive inventory in all of Counter-Strike, unprivated his account and started quick selling everything. Now, this was not exactly what you'd call in character for him. HFB was best known for being super rich, always keeping his profile private and never selling anything for any reason. So when he unprivated and started quick selling his blue gems for crypto, everybody immediately knew something was massively wrong. It was very obvious he'd been hacked. But then, Valve actually stepped in and did something very unexpected. They returned every single item to HFB. Now, this went completely against their normal policy on scam skins. They normally don't return scam skins, so this was massively out of character for them. And naturally, some angry buyers who weren't happy to lose the bargains they just snapped up messaged Steam to ask what was happening to their skins. And the response they got contained an extremely interesting admission. Basically, Valve admitted that Steam support had been tricked into handing over their account. But how the hell could someone trick Steam into doing that? Well, it wouldn't be long before the answers would start to come out. In February 2023, a series of videos were released by a Russian YouTuber called MZK detailing what could only be described as stunning corruption inside of Steam support, with a long list of victims and literally millions stolen. The story began with a character called Steam Help, a Steam support contract worker who was able to speak Russian, who figured he could make a few rubles on the side by selling Steam account details. Now, this wouldn't allow you to just log into someone else's account. It didn't work like that. In fact, this was mostly just to help players get their own accounts unlocked. But in theory, if you knew what you were doing, you could use this information to hijack other people's accounts. Now, this would only work with specific other accounts, either accounts that have been inactive for ages or accounts that have been bought off somebody else. But even with that limitation, there was no shortage of accounts that would be juicy targets. And eventually, someone came along who knew what they were doing. MZK calls this guy Alexander. Now, Alexander struck a deal with Steam Help to help him break into people's Steam accounts to steal their skins. And not little Timmy with his $20 AK, no, he was going for the big fish. Now, Alexander proceeded to identify a ton of lucrative victims, and with the information from Steam Helper, looted these accounts one after another, making off with a colossal amount of skins in the process. And while the owners of the accounts weren't exactly what you could call happy about what was happening to them, when they went to Steam support for help, they were screwed because Alexander had all their information. There was nothing they could provide to Steam support that Alexander couldn't provide as well. Apparently some owners did successfully piss off Steam support so much that they deleted all of the skins before they could be stolen, but that was pretty much the limits of what they could do. And in the meantime, Alexander was raking in bank, enthusiastically laundering his gains through various marketplaces and big traders. On one occasion, he allegedly laughed as a Chinese guy to get Zipple to buy stuff off him. Another time, he got Anomaly to buy some stickers off him live on stream. And having successfully cashed out his stolen gains, he would literally go scorched earth on things and try and delete every account he had ever touched, both his accounts and the hijacked ones. It was the perfect crime, or at least it was until Alexander cracked open the account of a fresh victim, only to find it was empty. Someone had already hacked it. Now, this new hacker wasn't very smart. Apparently he sold an Hyperpower and Titan Hollow for a fucking Orc Prince, but that was still a lot of money that Alexander couldn't steal, and he wasn't happy about this, so he basically decided to go to war to try and get all of their accounts banned. Pretty successfully, I might add. MVK showcased a lot of their banned accounts, and this is where something really interesting stood out to me, because I recognized one of these accounts. It was one of the accounts that had been used to hack QKSS. Turns out, he'd been caught in the crossfire between two competing groups of hijackers. But despite savaging his competition, things were about to go seriously wrong for our friend Alexander because he attempted to fuck with the wrong person, specifically this account here. Now, this guy here was apparently very well connected at Valve, and he got his account back before Alexander could steal anything. But what Alexander did get in return was an internal investigation at Steam, which resulted in Steam Help and apparently all of the other contractors he worked with getting fired by Valve. Great job, Alex. So, about 18 months and several $1 million later, the hijackings were over. Now, what I've just told you is mostly MZK's story, with only a couple of extra details. And you might be wondering, where is the proof? I mean, the hijackings themselves are definitely real, but is the rest of the story accurate? Well, MZK's main source was Alexander himself, and Alexander apparently had evidence. Now, I haven't been through this evidence, but a number of other people I know have, and they told me they thought it was authentic, which is about as credible as you're ever gonna get in a situation like this. But there is still a problem though, and it's not that Alexander has a bad story, it's just that he doesn't have the whole story, because there were other people doing hijackings, and the hijackings didn't stop when Alexander did. Alexander's fatal hijacking that brought down SteamHelp and SteamHelp's various colleagues happened in February 2022. HFB was hacked in June 2022, 4 months later. We don't know who did it, but it wasn't Alexander. Now, I have heard rumors that apparently the information used to hack HFB was obtained externally, which would explain why Valve shit-canning that entire division of Steam support didn't stop it from happening, but that is just a rumor. But it was also only after HFB's account was very publicly looted that the high-profile hacks actually stopped. And I doubt that's a coincidence. Hacking a high-profile account makes what you're doing really, really obvious, and if it's really, really obvious you're going around hacking accounts, it's much more likely Valve are going to do something about it. We know the hijackings were occurring at least as far back as 2020, but at the time it was definitely pretty low-key, and Alexander also seems to have avoided going after anyone too obvious. He'd found an infinite money glitch, and he probably didn't want to mess it up. But all of this went out the window when QKSS and HFB got hit in 2022. The only reason people didn't figure out that QKSS got hijacked at the time is because his skins, one way or another, got banned. If the hacker had started selling them off, it would have been obvious what had happened. And when HFB got hacked, well, at that point the cat was completely out of the bag. It was obvious what had happened, and not only did Valve step in, but they even admitted what was going on. Now, I don't know if HFB and QKSS were hacked by the same person or not, but what is clear is that after the HFB shit went down, if people are still hijacking accounts these days, they're being a hell of a lot more careful about it. Is this because Valve made it a lot harder to break into people's accounts, or is it because the hackers just got smarter? Well, we really don't know, but hacking accounts is lucrative, very lucrative, so you can be certain that there are definitely people out there who are at least trying. And that kind of brings me to the point of the video. Owning skins is always going to be a bit risky because Valve is a gaming company, not a bank, and they can't keep your money safe in the way a bank does. Steam support is a fucking nightmare for them, and it's probably always going to be a source of problems. The best you can do as a player is not to do risky things that put yourself in danger. For example, don't put expensive skins on a second-hand account you've purchased off somebody else. Or if you've got a huge inventory, don't go away for more than 6 months at a time and expect the skins to be there for you when you get back. So long as you're careful, you shouldn't have any problems. Just don't treat your inventory like a second bank account, because it's not. It's just part of a video game. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe. Otherwise, trust the numbers, not your guts. I'm Heyzeus. Thanks for watching. See ya.